for 2022.
We should make a deputy or a vice president an appointee of the president. Because now we have a deputy president who is behaving like a hooligan in this country.
That the deputy president is not an appointee of the president.
He's elected.
He's an elected deputy president under our constitution. His removal cannot be by witch hunting, by publicly embarrassing him, because then you weaken the presidency.
Despite the icy relations, the DP has not openly disobeyed the president. He still speaks highly of him, but those in Ruto's entourage have heard choice words for the head of state and believe he is the brains behind the persecution the DP is going through now, which is part of the grand scheme to block his 2022 bid.
Sababu tumesema tutaunga mkono William Ruto. Sio favor tunamfanya. In fact, yeye ndiye anatusaidia. Anatukomboa kutoka kwa minyororo ya ukombo.
The BBI meetings, which have started across the country, seem to be widening the rift even more. The DP believes they are merely a scheme to popularize Raila Odinga and give him a head start for the 2022 campaigns, and so Ruto has chosen to skip the meetings planned countrywide.
Raila Odinga has already replaced Musalia Mudavadi in Western Kenya. Replaced Musalia, replaced Wetangula. Ukienda Eastern, replaced Kalonzo. Na sasa ameanza kuunda coalition nyingine hapo na akina Matiang'i na Waiguru na mzee mwingine huko kwetu anaitwa Kamanda Hana Mendo.
No one chased William Ruto or even his allies from the open public meetings in Kisii, which was attended by leaders and Kenyans from all walks of life.
What happened in Kisii last weekend, of course, it's a trend setter. It is what we are supposed to do the entire country, so that we have an open debate in public.
DP Ruto is walking a road fate Raila himself had walked as Prime Minister. Those close to President Mwai Kibaki frustrated him with the aim of pushing him out of government. Raila had hoped to succeed Kibaki in the 2013 elections, but was not a favorite of the system.
Waziri mkuu anakuja kwa sherehe kubwa kama na hii ya serikali, PC hakuna. Unaambia PC ameenda Nairobi. Kama Kibaki alikuwa anakuja hapa, PC angeweza kosa kuja kwa hapa. Angekosa. Na angewekewa sana namna hii bila hata choo. Angewekewa. Alafu na nusu kapeti namna hii. Nusu mkeka.
Ruto allies say even though President Kenyatta is quiet, the actions of those close to him, including the Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, his Principal Secretary Karanja Kibisho, and former Jubilee Vice Chairperson David Murathe, speak loudly and the message is clear. Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Well, history tends to repeat itself. On NTV tonight, the experts weigh in on what lessons Deputy President William Ruto can draw from the vice presidents who came before him. NTV's Olive Burrows looks back at the lessons the past has taught us.
Akawauliza wanafunzi wake akasema,
what has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Ecclesiastes 1:9. And so it is in politics. History repeats itself. What lessons then can the country's second in command, at least nominally, draw from the experiences of the 10 vice presidents that came before him? Now that he and President Uhuru Kenyatta no longer share a common enemy by way of the International Criminal Court or Raila Odinga. First lesson, never assume anything.
If you look at the political history of this country, you will find that no president has actually given explicit support to a vice president to succeed him. That has never happened, and I do not know why people expect that a president should automatically support his vice president to take over the presidency.
His first mistake, he overplayed his hand and did not bide his time as Daniel Arap Moi did when he served as the founding president's right hand.
I'm not too sure from what we have seen that Ruto has a lot of respect for the president. In the recent past, the president has constantly appealed to politicians to stop early campaigns for 2022. What do we see Ruto doing? Anybody knows he's campaigning. Everybody knows. When President Uhuru Kenyatta, began this campaign against corruption in the last year or so, the statements that came from Ruto himself indicated that he was really not supportive of what the president was saying about corruption. Now, that is not something the president is going to take lightly.
And for that, the experts say you can expect, as has been the case in the past, for the president to use the state machinery at his disposal to cut the offending party to size.
And because of this strong political base that Odinga had, Kenyatta felt that he was a threat to the survival of KANU and therefore to the survival of the Kenyatta regime. On the basis of that and on the consideration of that, he found ways of undermining him. Oginga Odinga said he could not accept to be treated like that. He could not accept that. Yeah? There were instances when he was actually stopped by police and inspected by policemen in the Rift Valley. He was a vice president, but they were subjecting him to that kind of inspection, which was unheard of. So he being the kind of person he was, he said he could not hold it anymore. He resigned. He actually resigned from the party.
I told you Moi survived because he camouflaged his intentions. You cannot be a deputy and you're already showing you want to be the president. So that when you go to functions, you are talking statesmanly language. That must be reserved for the head of state. You cannot go to a function and you say, my government will build 16 stadiums. My government will tarmac the roads. What will the president be saying? So when you do that, you undermine the president. And that is what Saitoti had begun doing. So Saitoti too was shoved aside.
If you look at Dr. Karanja, Josephat Karanja, who was a vice president for a fairly short time under Moi, there are circumstances that led to his ouster. Every time Moi was out of the country, Karanja behaved as if he was now the president, right? And many times, or a few times, he said so. And that led him into trouble.
His second mistake, the experts say, is making the assumption that they would remain brothers in arms once the charges they faced for crimes against humanity were dropped. Lasting political relationships are based on ideology, the pundits say, as was made plain by the experience of Kenya's first vice president post-independence, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And just like Jaramogi, William Ruto now finds himself at a crossroads. Will he toe the line or seek to make his own way before his term expires? Olive Barrows, NTV.
Well, that story brings us to a breather on NTV tonight. We take a quick one, but there is more coming up. Do stay with us.
Asante sana. Sasa, ni nini kingine ambacho unaweza ukamfanyia msichana wetu?
Kila kitu. Hata kufua nguo na Ariel mpya. Unaniamini sasa?
Ariel huondoa madoa sugu kwa mwosho mmoja. Ijaribu leo uamini.
Your multi-bet is on its way to hit the bullseye. Oh, you lose one match, but only in Mozart. Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
With Lipa na M-Pesa, you get more.
Lipa na M-Pesa.
More convenience.
Do more with M-Pesa.
More ease.
Yeah,
more flexibility. And now you can win apartments, tractors with extras, plus surprise gifts to 8 customers every minute. Make payments via M-Pesa Buy Goods or Pay Bill. Every 100 shillings spent on Lipa na M-Pesa earns you an entry into the draw. Do more with Lipa na M-Pesa.
Every day, NTV News Team moves you to the center of the action.
The security forces who took part in this operation.
Police are not taking anything to chance.
Moves you to the heart of the story to witness and record history.
Rendering the declared results null and void.
Telling the story of Kenya.
The growing importance of border in Mandera.
Matatus will be on strike.
And beyond.
The politics in the United States capital.
It is the 7th edition of the Global Education taking place in Dubai.
When it comes to business, we crunch the numbers and unpack the detail with the latest information for your investment decision.
It's time to say goodbye to this note and karibu to this note.
In order for the manufacturing sector to be elevated from the ground.
Despite the government's promise to create at least 1.3 million jobs.
Moves you fast past the planes and trucks to bring you the triumphs and joys of our great men and women.
Moving stories that touch our hearts.
I didn't know that I could go back to school.
The Back to School program has brought hope to these young mothers.
NTV News. News that moves you.
Nimeona ile treni ya kwenda mbinguni, bila shaka huyu atakuwa kondakta.
Amen.
Buskut na keki ya hii majani ni hot cake. Tena napendwa tu na wasungu na watu matajiri peke yake.
Do you mind teaching me how to propel this two-wheeled automobile?
I'm a soldier in the army. I'm a soldier in the army. Anti-bus.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, police clashed with protesters in the central business district of Mombasa today as they broke up an anti-SGR demonstration. 4 people were arrested and temporarily detained at the central police station, among them 2 human rights activists from Haki Africa and Jomvu Ku, member of the County Assembly, Shebe Athumani. As Kevin Mutai reports, a Daily Nation photographer was also on the receiving end of police action.
Protesters unhappy with the government's directive of transporting cargo from Mombasa to Nairobi via SGR came against tear gas and batons as police moved to disperse them. The Black Monday demonstration was the first to happen this year, organized by human rights groups and businessmen under the umbrella Fast Action. A Daily Nation photographer, Laban Waloga, had to run for his life as police pursued him for taking photos.
Lakini mimi niliweza kuwa na mbio ya haraka. Hivyo rungu iliweza kunipiga sehemu ya matako. Alafu wakati alileta ya pili ikapiga tuktuku iliyokuwa inapita. Akarudi tena sasa. Akajaribu ameshika mkebe wa vitu wa machozi. Anataka kunipiga nao kwa uso lakini nikahepa.
The Media Council of Kenya has issued a statement saying it takes great exception to the attacks against journalists and the media workers. It called on the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority to take necessary action. The law enforcement officers had arrived earlier along Moi Avenue and pleaded with the organizers of the demos to suspend their plans, but was served with a court order. Some of the protesters claimed the officers wanted to stop the demonstrations because the head of state is still in Mombasa.
Shida mingi zimeonekana, maduka mengi yamefungwa. Kwa hivyo mapambano tunapambana nayo kwa maandamano haya. Alafu next maandamano tutayafanya bunge huko Nairobi.
The demonstrators claim that transportation of cargo via SGR has destroyed businesses and robbed truckers of their jobs, a move they say has crippled the economy of Mombasa. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the ministry is not aware of boarding schools that have scrapped off their day wings, a program which was started in 2018 to ensure more students transition to secondary schools. Meanwhile, students in public universities have been assured that their lessons will continue, as the government is already negotiating with lecturers who had threatened to go on strike from the 20th of January over unpaid dues. NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga with the story.
Today marked the first chapter of a 4-year story for thousands of students joining high school for the first time. Parents and their children were a busy lot as they turned up in schools for registration. The Moi Girls High School in Kabras was abuzz as teachers worked hard to capture the details of the over 400 learners through NEMIS. Education CS George Magoha, who oversaw the registration of students at the school, said he was not aware of any boarding schools that had scrapped their day wing program.
I am the head of the sector, and I think you better give me that information in the back room so that they can be reinstated, because I'm not aware. Anybody who is going to try to limit admissions of our children to schools in order to jeopardize 100% transition, you just think in your head what we are going to do with that person.
But in reality, some schools were not admitting day scholars for Form 1. The day wing program was started in 2018 with the aim of expanding opportunities to students joining Form 1, therefore helping in achieving the 100% transition policy. Students joining Form 1 as day scholars have been assured that their monies for the first term have already been sent to their schools.
Education Cabinet Secretary also said that parents should not allow heads of schools to direct them to specific shops to purchase school uniforms. This was after some of them complained that they were instructed to buy the uniforms from specific shops, which was expensive for them.
This is a democracy, and you must be very, let me not say stupid, but you must be very not intelligent as a parent if somebody is going to direct you to a particular shop to buy uniform. Those parents, don't listen to them. They are busybodies because they are not serious.
Solidarity forever.
Meanwhile, students in public universities can breathe easy after negotiations between the government and the lecturers who had threatened to down their tools in a week's time began today.
First of all, there shall be no strike. I want to affirm that we shall not negotiate with a gun at the back of our heads. The moment they start going on strike, they will have put the first bottleneck to that process.
Form 1 students will continue to report to their respective schools until the 17th of this month. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Now, Levis Otieno Rabar was among Form 1 students who turned up at the Kanga High School in Karachuonyo for registration. But unlike other students, he only had with him a metallic box with 2 bars of soap. Rabar, who's from a humble background, was trying his luck when he reported to school, as he's yet to pay his school fees. But he is determined to pursue his dream and continue with his education. Rabar's parents could only afford the 2 bars of soap out of the long list of requirements that he was expected to have. His mother says that they tried to secure a bursary from the CDF office, but they didn't get it. He scored 390 marks.
I'm appealing to anybody who can, any well-wisher, who can assist me pay my school fee. I only have a box and 2 bars soap. I'm worried because I don't have any option now. And my parents, they have low income.
Kuna school fee na hakuna pesa ya kununua school uniform, hakuna pesa ya kununua viatu, hakuna pesa ya kununua bag, hakuna pesa ya kununua socks, hata pocket money sina chochote.
Well, if you can help, get in touch with us and we will do our best to connect you to the family. Now, an Ethiopian airline passenger plane flying from Djibouti to Diradawa in Ethiopia was forced to divert and make an emergency landing in Addis Ababa after it hit a swarm of locusts. And this comes as East Africa has been hit by its worst locust invasion, which has seen crops destroyed in the region.
What was meant to be a safe landing for passengers on board a Boeing 737-700 after an hour-long journey from Djibouti to Dire Dawa in Ethiopia took quite the unexpected turn. The plane's nose cone was smeared with dead insects. The cockpit window depicts clearly the struggle the captain went through to regain visibility. The pilots tried in vain to clear the windscreen. After failing to land in Dire Dawa, diverted the plane to Addis Ababa, some 30 minutes away. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, had warned in November of last year that if the infestation in Ethiopia was not brought under control, then the crop-devouring insects would spread to neighboring countries. The destructive swarm has been sweeping across the skies in the country's north, nibbling at any blade of grass or vegetation, and threatening the country's food security. Farmers have been fighting a losing battle with the relentless pests, and have been looking to the skies for reprieve, as the government started off on an exercise to spray insecticides on the affected lands. The plague has spread to Laikipia, where farmers, agricultural organizations and the county government sprayed 3 swarms of locusts in Kipsin, Naibuganga and Lantili Hill. The Ministry of Agriculture plans to roll out a 2-day training for agricultural officers from 8 counties to equip them with the skills for monitoring and controlling the desert locusts that have so far invaded a total of 6 counties. More desert locust swarms have invaded parts of Meru and Isiolo counties, even as the swarm that settled in Igembe North on Friday was contained by aerial spraying. A fresh swarm from Somalia also invaded Mandera County. The county government says tens of thousands of hectares of crops and grazing land in Lefi in Elwak have been disseminated. In Kirinyaga County, farmers are concerned that the swarm of black insects feeding on their crops could be the dreaded desert locusts. The insects have invaded several farms in the area and residents fear entire farms could be wiped out. Helen Aura, NTV.
Absolutely fascinating, but clearly a danger pose. All right, at that point, we take a breather on NTV tonight. More coming up. It's the business news with Julians. Stay with us.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo. Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities for maximum cavity protection. And now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
I am pleased by just the simple little things of life. And I promise if you take the time, you won't be looking for too long before you find this little secret of mine.
Sunday, we're all chasing taste. Let's just grab a bite, the excuse to drink Coca-Cola every single day. So we feel forever be real, together stay free, whatever ends. No, we can't stop, we wanna taste the feeling, nothing can ever bring us down. Taste the feeling.
Your multi-bet is on its way to hit the bullseye. Oh, you lose one match, but only in Mozart. Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
Glad to be back. Let's get down to business. Welcome. I am Julian Amboko. Kenya's first green bond, issued by property developer Akon Holdings, has listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange as corporates look to tap into the country's nascent market for sustainable finance. Proceeds from the issuance that raised 4.3 billion shillings out of a targeted 5 billion in October 2019 will be used to finance the development of sustainable and climate-resilient accommodation for 5,000 students in Nairobi. Victor Kiprop with the details.
Nearly a year after Kenya approved new regulations for climate-friendly financing that exempted investors from paying withholding taxes on their interest earnings from such instruments, the country's first green bond is now trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
The issuance that was done by Akon Holdings Limited today, where they raised about a committed line of 4.3 billion, and now they've been able to list 786 million of those notes onto the market, is a major milestone for us.
They are the first listing, new green bond, corporate bond. They are also the first limited liability partnership to be listed on the exchange. And hopefully, they will be listed on the London Stock Exchange International Securities markets.
The performance of the corporate bond market in Kenya has dipped in recent years, following the collapse of Chase and Imperial banks, which had floated corporate bonds valued at over 6 billion shillings, aggravating an already dire situation. The listing of Akon Holdings Green Bond now presents an alternative form of investment.
There's a lot of opportunity for green financing. People are looking for money to tap into those resources. If you think about our energy, look at the geothermal potential we have. Look at the hydro opportunity we have. All the other energy projects on wind, solar, the health sector, the agriculture sector. All these are opportunities that we can unlock using green finance.
In effect, in the future, as I have said before, all finance will be green. So you've heard it from us. All finance will be green.
According to the World Bank, despite contributing significantly low levels of carbon emissions, poor countries, especially in Africa, are expected to bear the biggest brunt of climate change. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
And elsewhere, the Kenya Revenue Authority is on course to recover 11 billion shillings following judgment on the tax disputes in its favor delivered by the Tax Appeals Tribunal. The judgments delivered on the 17th and 18th of December 2019 were in relation to, among others, withholding income tax, tax on winnings from lotteries and betting, corporation tax, and pay as you earn. To date, the tribunal has had 112 appeals, which are pending delivery of judgments, with the disputed tax amounting to 54 billion shillings. The tax appeals cover varied sectors, including manufacturing, insurance, and banking. And staying with fiscal matters, public hearings for the sector budget proposals for the 2020-2021 financial year will kick off on Wednesday, 15th January 2020, marking the onset of public participation in the build-up to the June 2020 budget statement. The National Treasury says the hearings will take place between Wednesday and Friday this week at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Article 35 of the Public Finance Management Act provides that the Cabinet Secretary of the National Treasury will ensure there is public participation in the annual budget-making process. It is in light of this provision that the public hearings for the proposed expenditure for various sectors in the financial year between July 2020 and June 2021 are set to take place in Nairobi this week. The education sector, for example, proposes to spend 488 billion shillings in the next financial year, up from the 402 billion shillings average allocated each financial year between 2016-2017 and 2019-2020. The education sector report shows that the priority allocation for the proposed funds will be deployed towards the waiving of examination fees, the school feeding program in primary schools, implementation of the competence-based curriculum, and equipping 32 newly established technical colleges. Barring any changes, the health sector is set to receive 209 billion shillings, up from the 92.7 billion shillings allocated in the 2019-2020 financial year. The sector is expected to prioritize the realization of universal health coverage under the Big Four agenda. The infrastructure and ICT sectors have an allocation of 409 billion shillings, 17.5% of which will be earmarked for projects attached to the Big Four agenda, with particular focus on initiating construction of 65,000 housing units to be completed by June 2023. The public will be expected to participate in the sector hearings and give feedback at the Kenyatta International Convention Centre. The hearings will take place between 8:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. While public participation has become an essential part of the budget-making process since the promulgation of the Constitution, the extent to which the public feedback feeds into the actual budget is still a grey area. And that's it from the business desk. I leave you with a financial report.
This festive season, get a decoder with subscription at an unbelievable festive offer of only 1,499 shillings. Children can enjoy amazing cartoons on Nickelodeon, while for women, great soaps and drama on Novella E+ and Rambo TV. For men, it's Arsenal and Manchester United. You can also pay 1 month and enjoy 2 weeks free on a higher bouquet. For more information, call 0719 077 077.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Look at this. And this. So this? Why is this so? The culture of good driving and road safety starts with attending the right driving school and receiving the right driving instructions. Now you know. AA Kenya.
Register today for your driving classes. Dial *650#.
For 100 years now, AA has walked with you throughout the journey. Automobile Association of Kenya. You never drive alone.
Prepare yourself for a new live bet experience. Top minute, boosted live bet odds. Mozart, make a decision.
Welcome back. Now, a family in Nairobi wants justice for their daughter who they claim died as a result of medical negligence. The family accuses the Kenyatta National Hospital of failing to offer first aid to their daughter, leading to her death. Fatima Bugu reports.
speaking in low tones as they reflected on the tragedy that just hit them.
The doctor ambaye tulipata Mama Lucy, na kama anaweza nisikia atanisikia na atasema huyu mzee alikuwa anaongea ukweli ama uongo. Alituambia mtoto wetu hana ugonjwa yoyote. By the way, alituambia ni adole, ni vile mtoto anaenda kikua. Kwa hivyo akatuambia mtoto anataka counseling. Akasema mtoto ako na hysteria. So alituandikia mpaka barua ya referral. Can you imagine tulienda Mathare na mtoto hata tujaiona ni kama kuna shida yote. So wakati tulienda pale, hata yule daktari tulipata Mathare alishangaa. By the way, ndo aliniambia mzee, kama inawezekana chukueni mtoto Kenyatta haraka mara moja because ni kama kuna shida kwa throat, ni kama anashindwa ku breathe.
They however claim that their daughter was not attended to at Kenyatta National Hospital.
Na mimi nilipokuja na mtoto wangu hakushughulikiwa, na mtoto alikuwa anaonesha mpaka kwa ishara, anahitaji hewa.
Joyce Kanyita was a Form 3 student at Kamacharia Girls in Murang'a County. And today the family were at the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union to air their grievances over her death.
Kile tunataka ni haki itendeke, na hata pia kwa sababu ya mtu mwingine kesho, ili madaktari wao wanaweza wakawajibika kwa kazi zao.
Kenyatta Hospital Management says the matter is still under investigation. Fatma Bugu, NTV.
Right, from that, we take a breather. Next up, it's the sports news.
APU offers international students opportunities to study at an affordable cost. APU is recognized for its commitment in offering top-notch digital technology courses. For free application services, contact our local representative or visit their offices in Nairobi and Mombasa.
Prepare yourself for a new live bet experience. Top minute, boosted live bet odds. Mozart, make a decision.
Molfix breathable surface developed with airsoft technology is very soft and provides the best Molfix skincare.
I've found the best diaper for my baby's sensitive skin.
All babies deserve a high-quality diaper. You should also try Molfix.
Nimeona ile treni ya kwenda mbinguni, bila shaka huyu atakuwa kondakta.
Amen.
Buskut na keki ya hii majani ni hot cake. Tena inapendwa tu na wasungu na watu matajiri peke yake.
Do you mind teaching me how to propel this two-wheeled automobile?
NTV Sport in association with Mozart Bet. SMS NTV to 29990.
A very good Monday evening to you. Time to play here on NTV Sport. I'm Ida Warenga. And Bandari FC coach Bernard Mwalala has been sacked by the club after a series of poor performances that culminated in their 2-1 loss to Tusker on Sunday at the Mbaraki Sports Club in Mombasa. While Mwalala joined the club mid-2018 from Zoya Sugar and guided the club back to continental action after winning the Domestic Cup last season. But the club has performed dismally this season and is currently 11th on the log with 18 points, having played 16 matches. Former Harambee Stars tactician Twahir Mohidin has been linked with the job and will most likely take over on interim basis to steady the sinking ship. And the Toronto Raptors made history in 2019 when they became the first Canadian team to win an NBA championship. Now, with the victory, Raptors president Masai Ujiri, who's born of a Kenyan mother and a Nigerian father, cemented his name in the basketball books. But Ujiri isn't the only connection between Kenya and Toronto. I spent a day with Sarah Chan, a former refugee, who is now the first African female scouting manager of an NBA franchise. Here's the story of how her life changed after a chance encounter with Ujiri. The dream is to turn pro, with the Women's National Basketball Association, WNBA, being the ultimate destination. It can be said that Sarah Chan has achieved this dream, although in a roundabout way, as she is the first African female scouting manager of an NBA team, 2019 champions Toronto Raptors. Most recently, Sarah was scouting for talent at the Basketball Africa League's Elite 16, held at the 10,000-seater Kigali Arena in Rwanda in December 2019. The Kigali Arena, built in a record 6 months, stunned Africa and magnified Kenya's wanting sporting infrastructure.
President Kenyatta was in our first meeting in New York with President Kagame, and President Kagame pushed, and this arena was built. Macky Sall has pushed in Senegal, and it's been built.
While the Kenyan government dilly-dallies on the upgrading of sports infrastructure, private facilities continue to sprout. One such facility is the Masai Ujiri Sports Center in Nairobi that meets international standards. It's here, perhaps rather appropriately, a center named after Masai Ujiri, the first African president of an NBA team, that would provide the setting for Sarah Chan's life to change on the way to becoming the first African woman to be named scouting manager of an NBA franchise.
It's a very humble man. He doesn't speak much, but his heart speaks for him. And his actions around the world, not just Africa. He's such a solution-oriented person. So he has this big phrase where, if you ain't got it right, go figure it out.
Another highlight for the towering scout was meeting former United States President Barack Obama when the former POTUS presided over the official opening of the Sauti Kuu sports facility in Kogelo, founded by his sister, Dr. Auma Obama.
He's a funny dude. I did not know how funny he was, and the fact that he can actually play basketball was just so interesting.
It has been a long journey to the current highs for Sarah.
Got kicked out of school because of my fate, but I'm here standing with a master's.
She was born in Khartoum and grew up during the South Sudanese Civil War.
We'd hear loud knocking on our doors where unknown men would be demanding for my father to go outside, calling him by his full names.
The family managed to escape both the war and the refugee camps in 1998 and made a second home in Kenya. Sarah attended the basketball-crazy Laser Hill Academy, and she says she was a reluctant convert to the sport. But she took to the court like a fish in water, and her talent would see her play for the United States International University team, where she impressed in the 2015 FIBA African Championship in Angola. Despite USIU finishing 10th out of 12th, Sarah's exploits saw her named to the all-tournament team. But just as her star was shining brightest, her career was cut short by injury a few months later. Nevertheless, the 6'3" Sarah has reached dizzying heights in retirement, with her success changing the narrative back home of women in male-dominated spaces.
If I can, I think every child in Africa can.
That is certainly a huge rallying cry for Kenyan basketball players to push themselves as they aim for the basket in the game of life. Inspiration is pretty much everywhere if you look hard enough. Let's move on. In 2012, Kenyan Premier League champions Tusker FC maintained their lead atop the standings after a 2-1 win over coast side Bandari FC, a feat that led to the sacking of that being the Dockers coach. Robert Matano's charges for glory this season sees them top with 37 points, a point better than second-placed Kakamega Homeboyz. The Westerners condemned champions Gor Mahia to their second loss of the season season that saw Kogalo drop to 4th on 32 points. Ulinzi Stars' 3-2 win over Western Steamer took them to 3rd on the log, I do beg your pardon, on 34 points. KCB complete the top 5 after condemning Chemelil Sugar to their 14th loss of the season. At the bottom half, Chemelil seemed to be on the path to joining already dropped Sony Sugar as they lie in 17th place with 4 points. Kisumu All-Stars, who had their coach Henry Omino sacked, but that could not attract fortunes for the side who lost 2-0 to Poster Rangers to remain in the relegation zone with 8 points so far this season.
Their best on the pitch, regardless of the results that we are going to get at the end of the 90 minutes.
We have not changed the side. We have changed what we can within the team, and we've chased away what we think we need to chase away. But we can't put out at the minute the team we want to put out because of they're not registered.
Well, stakeholders want the Football Kenya Federation elections to start from the grassroots all the way to the national level. The stakeholders, among them former Kenyan internationals and former FKF officials, say the crisis in the management of the sport and resultant deterioration is due to an acute shortage of effective leadership as well as lack of accountability.
Our aim is to contribute towards and enable election of qualified, credible and visionary leaders committed to bring accountability to football stakeholders in Kenya.
What we are saying is we are not going to go to the elections, with the kind of systems that we have at the moment. We have to change the systems.
People should not be instilling to us all the time about FIFA will ban us, FIFA will do this, will do that, so that we can get cold feet to go for a horrible shambles election. No, FIFA can only suspend us, and we can negotiate with FIFA. FIFA doesn't ban people. We are an affiliate of FIFA, so they'll have to hear from us what is the problem that we are encountering here.
For us, it's just to ensure that once everybody complies with the Sports Act, we'll be able now to make choices whether to participate in the elections or not.
Well, definitely some interesting times ahead in the politics of football. Leaders Kabras Sugar, defending champions KCB and Homeboyz RFC maintained their top 3 positions as Menengai Oilers and Kenya Harlequins were the only movers in Week 8 of the Kenya Cup. Kabras ruthlessly crushed Nakuru RFC 38-0 to remain at the top on 45 points, just 1 better than second-placed KCB, who educated students black blood from Kenyatta University 81-10 at the Den in Ruaraka. Kabras and KCB have 9 wins and a loss each. Queens, who have been staring at relegation, beat Kisumu 45-15 to rise 1 place to 9th with 13 points. Their 3rd win of the season placed them 2 places above relegation. Homeboyz, Oilers, Impala Saracens and Mwamba are still in contention for the playoff cut, while Black Blood stayed 11th and in the relegation zone. Meanwhile, Strathmore Leos and Masinde Muliro University maintained their push for home semi-final qualification in the KRU Championship. And Kenya was once again on the global map of athletics greats after World 10,000 meters bronze medalist Ronex Kipruto and 2016 Africa 5,000 meters champion Sheila Chepkirui smashed the men and women's 10-kilometer world records in Valencia, Spain. Kipruto clocked 26 minutes and 23 seconds to win the World Athletics Gold Label Road Race, taking 14 seconds off the previous record. Chepkirui, on her part, registered a time of 29 minutes and 42 seconds in the women's race, breaking her compatriots Joycelyn Jepkes-Gay's record by a second. The shine in Valencia is our moment of the weekend. Congratulations to all Kenyans involved in Valencia. That wraps it up on sports. We'll play again tomorrow evening. Do enjoy your viewing.
NTV Sport in association with MozartBet. SMS NTV to 29990.
Mozart Refund, lose one game, get your cash back. Make a decision. Terms and conditions apply.
Do stay with us on NTV. Press Pass is coming up next. But for now, that's all from me, Smriti Vidyarthi. And thanks to David Agondoa, our sign language interpreter. Bye-bye.